My story begins when I am 5 years old with the tragic loss of a dear friend.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, how many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, how many times can a man turn his head, pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Is how many times must a...
Penny's loss hit me very dearly, and my sadness was inconsolable. My parents were very worried about me. And, years later, I wonder whether the decision they made to have another baby might have been to try to cheer me up. It was both perplexing and exciting to see my mother expecting a baby. And when you're so young, of course, you don't know anything about the world, about the birds and the bees. My mother, of course, got a bit annoyed when I asked too many questions. So she decided to send me to art school as a distraction that summer. I was by far the youngest student in the summer class, and I was befriended by a 13-year-old girl, the daughter of the Italian drawing instructor from Florence. She was quite a wonderful person and took me under her wing to show me how to draw, and she also took a liking to me. One afternoon she asked whether we can go next door because she wanted to draw me. And of course I thought that she just wanted to draw my visage, my face, but no. She said, "Get up on the podium, take off your clothes. I want to draw you as a cherub, as an angel." I was timid, but I did what she said. The following day, she took me by the hand again, and we went next door to the other studio, and she locked the door behind us this time, and I was half expecting to get up on the podium again and let her draw me, but this time around she said I was going to draw her, and I I wasn't really prepared for that. She had already taken off her dress and had stood up on the podium, and what she did is she wrapped herself in a wonderful fabric so that you could actually see a bit but not everything about her. And it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, the most beautiful form I'd ever seen. And I just stood there. I couldn't draw. And she smiled and she said, "I heard your mother's expecting a baby." And I just nodded because I couldn't say anything. And she kind of understood what my emotions and feelings were about. And so she slowly opened the fabric. And this was a revelation to me. It's the first time I saw La Source de Vie. And she smiled and she said, "Yes, that's where babies come from." That was the beginning of my reverence for the feminine form. I will remember that afternoon till the day I die. The last afternoon of the class, a photographer and a journalist from the newspaper came to write a story, and they chose me to be the subject. and they called me the Little Matisse. This was the first time I ever heard the name of Henri Matisse. The use of color by Matisse would have a profound impact on my sensibilities as an artist. I really enjoy his use of color, in particular the color red. This is a portrait I did of my friend Chloe, who has fiery red hair. I did this painting, about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's an optical illusion. It's made very much in the minimalist style, but when you stare at the painting, there's an interplay between the foreground and the black background. This is one of the things I discovered about Matisse, and that is that he is an expert in accommodating both the foreground and the background in his paintings. I suspect he actually paints the backgrounds before he paints the foregrounds. This is a figurative painting of Chloe that balances the foreground and the background. And it's very challenging not to portray a painting as a flat rendering. And so you have to try to balance not just the form of the objects in the painting, but the color matching as well. Matisse worked extensively with models, particularly when he drew or painted his odalisques. I've had the occasional model sit for me. I hope in the future, as I explore more aspects of his odalisques, I will be able to invite more models to sit for me. This is another painting of Chloe, again a figurative painting, which is somewhat allegorical. And what I'm trying to do is to better understand the allegories that are used by Matisse in many of his odalisques. This is to some degree an odalisque, although it does not have the sophistication of a Matisse odalisque. There are a few films of Matisse either sketching or painting, and it's interesting to watch his technique. He is very much in the free state as far as lines are concerned and as far as color is concerned. And when you borrow his technique, it actually is quite liberating, where you use long sweeps of the hand or you use a long paintbrush. And as I suspected, he does the background before he does the foreground, as you can see in this snippet of him doing an odalisque. I discovered that by myself when I attempted a few odalisques. I found that if you did the background first and then the foreground, although the foreground is traced in first, you have a better chance of balancing and adorning the painting in such a way that there's no imbalance in the color or the form of what's in the painting. Here are some of my paintings done in the style of Matisse. I try to use color, and I try to balance the colors even though they are bright and vibrant. I also like metaphor. You'll notice the Miniatrice first and then the Minotaur, and the Minotaur is a bit of a self-portrait. Here are some paintings where I'm having fun. Here's a Minotaur and his mate, and the second painting is of course the girl and her octopus. And the third painting is the Queen of Spades. This painting is called The Trinity. Here's a short film of Matisse drawing a flower. Being able to draw a flower, paint a flower, represent a flower, is an important part of Matisse's practice. You'll see flowers used quite often in his paintings. In the next few paintings, I mix the style of Matisse with some Dada influences, and let's see how many you can recognize. The next painting is one of my more famous paintings called Lucky Kitty, and it is a play on the birth of Venus. This year I used it in a submission to a poster contest. This is an autographical painting with Doraemon as the theme. I sometimes sit as Poseidon for life drawing students. This is an odalisque in a postmodernist style. This is actually a friend of mine who sat for me. And this is me, which brings us to the end of the film. I am still learning a great deal about Henri Matisse. I find him fascinating. I know it will be many years before I can sit and say that I truly understand him, but this is part of his marvelous genius. Each and every one of his paintings or works of art is unique, and we have a great debt to him as far as 20th century art is concerned, and definitely in some portion of art from this century, the 21st century. I've enjoyed walking in his footsteps, and I will continue to try to explore his genius as an artist. Let us end our film watching Matisse doing his cutouts.